Apologies. I know, we like our high production skills at IMT, as I'm sure you're all aware. So apologies for any issues. Apparently, a lot of things aren't working tonight, but I fixed them all. But yeah, the fact that Angie's forehead was disappearing through a lot of that, and is still, it's still going now. That's just the way we have to do these things. So tonight, this is a workshop, and any of the Infinite Mutants cast will maybe dropping in if they're not already here that you can see. And we have 3 people. Borgat, who has already been part of these series with 2 characters already, right? And Skoon.
Yeah.
Skoon.
Skoon, yeah.
And Hagen are here to create new characters tonight. So we're going to do a bit of a recap / character creation. Now, as always, for those of you interested, we do use Mutants Masterminds 3rd edition. But in true IMT style, we took the rules and threw them out the window.
Hey.
We threw them away. Now, we still vaguely use them. But my campaign's more about story, so anyone who wants to actually run Mutants and Masterminds and follow the rules, come and talk to me, because that'd be cool.
I'd love to learn them.
I'd love to learn these rules in a better way.
It's a really big book. It's a really big book.
It is a chunky book.
Who can be bothered with that? Really?
Reading's hard.
Look, I tried really hard. I put all my little tabs on it and stuff.
It's only 233 pages.
Is it? Jeez.
Well,
No, it's
my
not.
PDF says 30.
Do you have any idea?
233.
Do you have any idea how many words you can get on 233 pages?
Oh, that's good. Mine says
Look at that.
310.
I just see the
Look at
annoying
that
shark,
book.
but
It's big.
It's an amazing book.
That's a fantastic image.
So we're gonna kick off. We're gonna get our 3 people who are creating characters on the ball rolling. So you 3, you've got character sheets. You've filled it out. What I'm gonna do now is I want to get a gist off you 3. What sort of character powers you're looking at creating, and then what I'll do is I'll leave you to start roughly putting that in to the character sheets, and then I will go and do a bit of recap with the others. So I'm hoping that you all have an idea of what new characters you're going to create, and I will roughly tell you what sort of power, what we're talking about. For those who don't know, Mutants and Masterminds.
Listen, Ange.
Mutants and Masterminds incorporate all powers. So every single power you could possibly think of can be incorporated into Mutants and Masterminds. That's another great image. Using this sheet.
Oh, good lord.
Using this lovely sheet with loads of information on. And it basically, the way it works is it takes what your power does and turns that into an effect. So it doesn't matter what your power is and how it's created, what it looks like. It's all about what it actually does. A laser beam and laser eyes and laser fingers, they're all damaging. So that all just comes under a damage ability. So it's an easy way for Mutants and Masterminds to actually steal every power that you can think of and just say, yeah, you can put it in the game.
the list of power effects, that is, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that is.
okay, I've got it now.
But that could also mean that you could have like a physical attack that dazes somebody, which could be built as an affliction.
Mm.
So it's very modular in how you build things in it. It's the sky is literally the limit.
So basically, I'm just going to ask you to just give us an idea. I don't want loads of information about your characters just yet. We're going to pull that out through tonight. But if we can just start with your main abilities, and then I will basically tell you what power effect we're going to class that as for in-game, and then I will leave you to fill out the power advantages and equipment section on your character sheets. So we'll start with Hagen, if you don't mind, sir.
I do, but let's carry on anyway. So I was going for a regular human.
Okay.
Who's basically nicked a battle suit. Well, it's not technically supposed to be a battle suit. That uses freezing abilities.
So like a Dr. Frost sort of vibe?
More of a case of somebody was making basically a robotic suit to help firemen, so hence the freeze weapon, and they tried to add other stuff and he's nicked it.
Okay. So I'm going to imagine that a lot of these, your powers are going to be like freeze rays and just, dealing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all just going to be nice and easy damage sort of stuff. So I think basically, you've got a choice with damage. So with damage, it depends what sort of damage it is, because you've got like blast damage, damage, aura sort of damage. I would. There'd probably be some essence of environment damage as well there too, because I take it you're going to be freezing, in essence, freezing people. Yeah,
basically, it's a walking fire engine, essentially. So it can go through walls by punching a fist through. No need for a fireman's axe when you can punch through a wall. The equivalent to sort of lay down a freezing effect to replace, say, for example, having to run hoses for fire, fire hoses, things like that. You could take it. You could literally walk into a hostile environment, rescue people, and create a safe place, a safe way for them to escape.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is, if for you then on your power section, you kind of want to list. I would say they're all going to be pretty much damage. Straight off the bat, we can always change them from damage once we come back to them. If you could list like the ways, like if it's just a freeze gun or if he's got like vents or something, you want to list that on the power section and put a bit of description in there to just kind of give us some filler. And the other thing that I'd need off you is in your equipment, you're going to create this suit. So the way in Mutants Masterminds, how a suit works is instead of other characters would spend points in their strength, agility, and awareness to say that they're super strong and everything. In Mutants Masterminds, you put that on your suit. So the suit gives you the +6 strength. So that if you're not wearing the suit, you don't have the strength, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
without the suit, I'm just Joe Blogs.
Yeah. So basically, in your equipment section, if you want to create a suit, and just fill out what sort of enhancements we're talking about. Don't worry too much about the numbers. You can put like a 1 to 10 as a rough idea, 10 being ridiculously overpowered. How does it affect your actual character when he's wearing the suit? And we'll start with that. And also, you do think like environment effects, the suit might protect him from the cold itself. So there's things there to consider. So I will leave you to do that if you want to start filling information out on there. Scoon, what have you got?
Yes. I was thinking of a telekinetic character. Okay. But his telekinesis, because it's mind powers, also kind of affected his mind, so he's not really fully there, you could say.
Okay. Feeling a bit of Jean Grey there?
Well, it's technically based a little bit off of Deadpool, but instead of knowing he's in a comic book / TV show, he just talks to people and he is just really insane. Instead of really knowing that he is in a game or stuff like that.
So probably health regen is going to be an important thing then, if that's where you want to go. So you're looking at health regen and telekinesis.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything to do with health is straight up just a healing effect. In Mutants Mastermind, that's good. Telekinesis.
Might also have a little bit of telekinetic, but telepathic, but mostly telekinesis.
Okay.
Would it be worth giving him access to Maestro's sheet? Because he was quite similar, so you might get an idea from how that one's built.
But basically, anything with telekinesis, you're talking that's going to come under the power effect of move object, and that'll be a case of you define how much and weight and everything. I can do that. Bear with me. I will give you access to Borgat's character Maestro, and you can have a look at that, see how he's built that around. That might be something worthwhile if you're interested.
Yeah. Now always look.
Yeah. So you should have access to that now. And in fact, Hagen, I have got an Iron Man sort of setup that I will throw at you. So you can have a look at that and see if any of that kind of helps out. You don't have to, don't worry. Okay, so from you then, so I feel like you're basically just going to have healing powers that are probably going to be more powerful than anything. You're going to have a bit of telekinesis in your move item, and then maybe mind reading. Is that what you were thinking about? Or is it more controlling people over reading the minds?
No, I would think a form of mind reading, but he wouldn't have full control over that. So he might read a mind, but not when he wants to.
Okay.
It just happens.
That's good. In Mutants Masterminds, for every power, there are modifiers that you can attach onto your power. And the modifiers either give points back to you or they cost more points. And one of the modifiers that you can have is the fact that you don't have a control over said power. We saw this in one of the episodes with the lad who you dropped a bathtub on. One of the ways I managed to rank up his powers, so he actually was on your level, is he just did not have control over them. So that almost gave him a free cost on levels of fire. Ooh. Interesting. That's one of the reasons, funnily enough, why Mutants Mastermind says you should talk to your GM about this, because there are ways that you can make your power costless.
Yep.
And then you can bump it up to whatever power level you want. We're not going to do that. But yeah, so
you can really min-max in this game.
Yeah. So we'll definitely look at a modifier for you to put in the fact that you obviously can't create your power, and that could be something interesting. So again, for you in your power section, if you just want to list your powers, break them up into those three that you're looking about, and if you can fill out a description of roughly what it is and to what extent they are, so that we've got that information, that would be great from you.
Okay.
And Borgat, finally,
hello.
Your new character. Do you want to give us the power spin on that?
Yeah, so my idea is a well-trained boxer who then his mutation came in, which enhanced his strength dramatically, and also gave him sort of a regeneration ability, which only activates while he's wearing his boxing gloves. So he would probably be less obviously superpowered unless you're in a fight with him. I have a rough idea for how to do a breakdown on this guy.
So what is it about the boxing gloves that give him all this power?
It's not the boxing gloves. That's just the caveat for his regeneration.
Oh, right, okay.
He only will regenerate. I was going to do it while he was in a fight, but I think it's funnier that he has to have the boxing gloves on. But yeah. It could always just be the caveat for his regeneration is he has to be in a fight, and that activates a part of his brain that causes his regeneration to kick in. Otherwise, he's essentially a strong bruiser type.
Yeah, again, that can be a thing with the modifiers. You can have it so that, Weeping Widow's character by Ange, she can create tombstones, but only when she's near sources of stone. She's unable to if she's not actually near any sort of source of stone. So it could be that, there could be a connection there that he only seems to be able to work his healing abilities when he has got gloves on, or fighting abilities when he puts his gloves on. Okay. So I'm going to imagine that a lot of your skill points are going to go into the natural strength of this character.
Yeah, probably. Some into strength, probably more so into fighting, and then have a enhanced ability similar to Pangolin, to then show that his strength bumped up when his mutation happened.
Yeah, so if any powers that I think you would have as your character would be like super punches sort of thing. I mean, is your character almost powerless? It is just pure brute strength that he has.
Yeah, essentially. The only one thing that I could think to maybe add would be, like I was saying before, a daze-like attack, which would just be a built off an affliction.
Mm-hmm.
So he keeps punching in the same spot, dazing, stunning, knocking the person out.
Yeah. Okay. So the only power there that you're probably really going to want to just get sorted is your healing. Obviously, to what extent. So if you want to just kind of do that, if there is any powers that you want to pull in like that, that are separate to just his brute strength, like full on. Can't think of the word now. I want to say kamikaze punch, but it's not a kamikaze punch. That's something completely different.
Do you mean like a? I know what you mean, like a Kamehameha blast or something like that.
Yeah, a Sayuken or whatever you want to call it. Someone's laughing somewhere, I'm sure of it. Basically a mega punch. If you want to do that, and then so there's not much really there on the power side of thing. Equipment, obviously, your gloves.
Yeah, a pair of boxing gloves.
Definitely. Yeah. Is that all you're thinking on this character? Just that?
Yeah, pretty basic. I've been burnt before by putting too much into powers and then having nothing for skills. So I'm trying to avoid that as much as I can.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've done your character creation before, Mutants Masterminds, so if you want to do that on your powers and that, and then if you want to start putting your points into your skills and see what you want to come up with there, and then we'll come back on that.
Yep, I'm happy to try and fill mine out, and then you can have a look over it when you can.
Cool. Right. So there we go. There's our 3 new players who are off to a start now, creating their new characters that they're hoping and will hopefully take a good seat into the campaign second half. But now to the first half. So we have Ange, who plays Weeping Widow. We have Meow Nerva, who plays Doc Galvanic. And we have some old pirate who plays Gun. Now, you guys, you've... Now, I should say, for this particular campaign, one of the rules that I set out was that you all know everything. So if you... I'm just getting worried about this, I know. So that basically, if your character's not in that particular episode, you're still very much aware of everything that kind of went on in that episode. And we've done this on Discord with we have our own little chat that's dedicated to just out-of-game roleplay conversations. We call it a messenger service sort of thing, which has been... An episode did develop out of that chat room, which was quite interesting. But before we get into the second half of this first season, I wanted to kind of recap over the episodes and get your thoughts and opinions on what you thought happened. So we'll start quite casually with the very first episode. And in this episode, you started off in a coffee shop, and this kind of set the scene for the world of Mutants Masterminds, which, if you've not been watching, there is a very big anti-human regime, not anti-human, should I say, anti-mutant regime going on at the moment. There is a company called Kinetics who are essentially a new police force that's not run by the government, who are controlling mutants. And mutants who are low in powers and who have not much to them have collars on and have been released back into public. But it appears that any powerful mutants are disappearing. And in the first episode, you came across a burning building, and you were all mutants who are quite definitely on the high power level. And you're unregistered. So unregistered mutants are illegal in this world. And so none of you have registered. None of you have gone to these Kinetics facilities to be registered that you are a mutant and declared yourself and essentially admitted to what you can do. And for whatever reason that is, you have decided that that's not what you're going to do. And on the first episode, you all came across a burning building, which you all kind of had the feeling that you needed to help out because there was no help coming. And so yeah, that was the first episode where you ran in, and I believe in this particular episode, Gunn was there, Weeping Widow, and it was Gem, and it was Pangolin. If I'm not wrong, I think it was just the four of you on that first episode.
Yeah, I think you're right. That is correct.
Now, you entered the building unaware of what had happened. Do you remember vaguely?
I kind of remember the lead up to it is that we had... There'd been some kind of incident in the coffee shop, hadn't it, which had kind of established this whole thing about the mutants kind of being persecuted somewhat. And then we'd witnessed a fight.
Yep.
Break out. There was a fight between... There were just some policemen. I remember there was some policemen there because I know one of them came to a sticky end for some reason. But I can't recall how we ended up at we were just driving away from that scene, weren't we, when we encountered this burning building, wasn't it? Were we chasing something?
The coffee shop scenario, there was a child mutant who had the collar on, who was being refused any coffee service, and they were basically being asked to leave. And you were all present and oversaw that sort of thing. And then when you left, there was a fight going on down the street, where I mean, I'm not 100% certain on this myself. I didn't think this would really come up, but there was a mutant involved. I can't remember if it was two mutants or not. There was one mutant involved. There was a bit of a standoff with the police, and you left the area because before you could get involved, because you were all getting ready to get involved and fight a good fight. Next minute, I just got distracted by Croyd's face on stream that's half completely gone. It looks very robotic. Yeah, you were about to get involved when Kinetics flooded the streets to take over the scene, and you all jumped into Weeping Widow's hearse to get away from the scene.
Jumped into a tunnel, apparently.
Did Gunn jump into a tunnel?
Gunn jumps into a tunnel, I thought.
No, that was later. That was later. Yeah.
So you all got in Weeping Widow's car, and as you were kind of all introducing each other, you then came across the burning building. Yeah.
What I really liked about that opening scene when we were playing it was that we had next to no expectations given to us ahead of what the world was like, and all of a sudden we've got this massive police state thing happening with this private security force, and you were desperately trying to get us not to start a fight. If there was ever a GM that did not want us to start a fight, it was you. Just you could see the NPCs just piling in their military private military vehicles. But the segregation and the apartheid of the coffee shop scene was a great opener to, and yeah, that's definitely stuck with me. That scene where we're just kind of sitting there all watching, just seeing the shit that mutants have to get. So yeah, that was great. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, and that is one of the biggest parts of this world, is that, and I think you've all realised this as you've gone along in the episodes, is that it's really not good going up against Kinetic so far. And they are very fast response, and we saw that on the motorway situation. That one, we'll come to that.
What motorway situation?
Wasn't any situation on the motorway.
There's no evidence.
Yeah,
no evidence.
Nothing happened.
But yeah, so when you came across this burning building, you decided as a group that you wanted to help out, and because you could see there were people trapped in this burning building.
And we're heroes, right?
You did. Now, most of you went in through the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, I recall, had a really not so bright idea to first assist the fire. I mean, it was spectacularly done. And a certain somebody smashed open every window simultaneously and caused what could only be imagined as the world's biggest backdraft. And probably knocked out anybody who was stood at the window trying to climb out or anything. We never checked for that. And then scaled up the side of the building.
I mean, and to be fair, I don't think there was ever any kind of formal assessment of casualties.
No, there wasn't.
Of that incident. And pictures or it didn't happen. That's what I say.
Yeah.
It was a subtle approach.
See that one as well, when we just wanted to keep walking into the rooms to see what you'd got, because each room was almost like, but the first room I walked into, there was the only one that you hadn't done. Like you'd put stuff in every other room, but this one was empty. And again,
the one empty room.
Yeah, it just added to the chaos of the situation. But yeah, the gun, I think you went off, didn't you? Because we were busy trying to deal with this. Was it the one with the individual?
I was looking for it. Yes, it was. It's that one. Because I think my character went off looking for a fire extinguisher, maybe.
Yes, you did.
Because that's the kind of things normal people do.
And I remember this because
when
I didn't want
fire.
you to try and put out the fire. And when you got the fire extinguisher, I did a sneaky roll. And it really didn't go in your favour because the fire extinguisher was empty after you found it. And it was like, hooligans have emptied the fire extinguisher.
Yeah. That's what happens, folks, when your GM fucks you over.
I really but you found the source of the fire, which was very important.
Did.
Any of you remember the tales on that?
It was a small boy.
That out of control mutant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
He just come into power. Probably puberty. Puberty does things to people that it's just crazy. So
we dealt with it in a very normal, controlled manner.
Rational manner.
Well, this is where your expression came from, wasn't it? The bathtubing.
Yeah.
And very cool.
This was a spectacular moment because even I didn't see it coming. Because if I remember correctly, you were trying to fight this person at the time that you didn't know it was a child who was on fire. And I just remember Croy running into the bathroom and filling up a bathtub, and all I could think of was, how the hell is he going to get the kid in the bath? Well, you didn't, did you, Croy? You didn't put the kid in the bath.
That's not what my character does. My character is a removal specialist. He can move things from A to B, and it made sense. Like I asked you, it was when I asked you, how much does a full water bath weigh, or what's my carrying capacity when I'm teleporting? What can I do? And yeah, you were just like,
that's when I realized.
That's what he's up to. Yeah,
I think Google helped
Google
in
did
that
help.
instance. I think. Yeah.
Google is your friend.
And yeah, you ended up knocking this kid out. If it was any other kid, you would have killed them. But you managed to knock this one out.
and the fire went out.
Did you? Yeah, the fire did go out, which you very quickly realised that obviously most of the fire was controlled. Does any of you recall why that all happened?
You're idiots.
No, not why you killed the kid. Well, knocked him out.
Why he was on fire?
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't control himself.
He was upset, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it something to do with a brother or something, or was that later on?
No, that was it, and that set.
Did I remember something?
You did. He had only just found out that his brother had been taken by kinetics, which caused a lot of the issues. Which is what caused the later on episode where Croy actually goes to recover his brother. But yeah.
Oh, wait 1 minute.
Points for Ange. Yes.
Who was his brother?
Now you're getting me to get my nose out again.
It wasn't Danny, was it? Was it he was with Danny?
No, it wasn't Danny.
It's when Cry went off on his own to go get it. When he met Danny, it was that episode.
Yeah.
Do we only remember Danny?
Has Croy's chair just exploded?
Yep.
Yes, it has.
It looks like it has a cookie. Sorry.
Oh,
kind of explosive diarrhea.
Luckily, it's just his chair, not him.
Oh, sorry.
My God, there was a soldier up there.
Hang on. I hadn't got to this bit. I'm trying to get those notes. But yeah, so the reason why
you just killed Hagen. You've just killed him.
The reason why the fire had started was because poor kid had found out that his brother had been taken by kinetics, which was quite understandable.
Wait, wasn't this the one where we ended up getting him finally bathtubing him, and then for some reason I just put him in a stone coffin to just control him?
Yes, you did.
Cry knocked him unconscious with a bath, so then you locked him in a stone coffin.
Well, you figured it'd be flame retardant, so that was a good call. You didn't want your hearse going up in fire. made sense.
Did make sense to some degree.
He felt it, I think, the heat that guy was generating. It was nuts. No, we were really worried. We were genuinely worried that he would suddenly just burst into flame, and the whole hearse would just explode with us in it, and that would be it. So I think I think it was the hearse, the stone coffin in the back. How much would one of those weigh compared to a bathtub full of water?
We did have to work that out as well, didn't we? We were working out stone coffins, the hearses.
Yeah.
I bet Hagen and Schooner like this, like, what the flipping heck are we joining?
But you managed to get you got the kid out of the burning building. You put him into the coffin, and Weeping Widow, and I think it was Gun. No, it wasn't Gun. It was Gem. You two were in the hearse, and you started making your getaway. However,
Pangolin and Gun are in a fight at that point with the police.
Pangolin and Gun were still escorting people out down the back entrance, down the fire escape. And you fell into an ambush at the back of the building of kinetic soldiers who were swarming the back of the building because they had realised that obviously this event may have had a mutant element to it. Also, there were reports of somebody pulting lots of tombstones at this building, because it was not the most discreetest.
I do believe a policeman had been murdered just a few moments before.
Yeah,
by having a tombstone dropped on his head.
Yes, and you weren't too far away from that whole situation.
No.
And leaving business cards everywhere is
also... Well, there's that as well, yeah.
Yeah, that will come back, don't worry. That will come back. And yeah, you and Pangolin, you made it into the sewers. And you were being chased through a tunnel that Pangolin was trying to dig out for you, and you re-emerged at the front of the building, hoping to get into the hearse, which had gone. And they'd left you. Do you remember what then happened at the end of that episode as you and Pangolin emerged?
I do. That's when time stopped, wasn't it? And then some big dude with a big cape spoke to us.
Yes.
From the top of a building.
Oh my god, I've just read my notes. And it said, Gun and Pangolin are covered in poo.
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
Pangolin hit a main sewer, surely.
He spent a long time trying to dig through a pipe.
Yeah. Now, of course, at the time, you had no idea what was going on, but I assume now you probably have some idea of who that was?
It was Avacat, wasn't it?
No.
It was Arthur.
It was.
It wasn't.
It
wasn't Arthur.
IMT.
The one we met in the town.
Yeah.
Oh, the
IMT, who technically is Arthur.
Yes. Yep. You bumped into what you would later know as IMT, aka, as from what you worked out, is Arthur. You've not been confirmed that.
Yeah, we have. He basically told us we know that there was a kid who had the exact same powers,
he did.
And he basically confirmed, yeah, that's him. That this is his present point in time, but he has then gone back at a certain point and then relived up to this point, and then it gets confusing.
Yep. So yeah, and he helped you get out of the situation. He froze time all around you, and you and Pangolin managed to easily just walk past all the police and the kinetics guard and got away. And later on, you would find out that he is, as far as you are aware, the leader of a underground mutant hideout. And then the second episode, well, then we had a mini episode where Gem, was who had bought a new house, and it turned out to be the worst purchase of his life.
I like that one.
And I think that's where Borgat's first character came into play.
Yep, that's where we learned that speedsters are really awkward to use in this game.
And
that was the one where it was a garden party, and there was a whole bunch of kids that were chucking items through the house.
Through windows, something.
And we went out to investigate.
We never threw Jim.
We never threw Jim. No, Jim was left. But spears. The kids were walking about with like Roman apparel, shields and such.
Toga.
And it was the party was that, and then there was like an underground bunker, wasn't there? It was an old kinetics store, and they had got into it or something. I can't remember. Had something got out of it? That was what it was. Something got out of it, wasn't it? It wasn't the container was exploded from the inside. Am I right in that? Was there not something that was not the indication that something had escaped from inside it? Is that? Am I making that up?
I think that's how it was open, and that's why the youths were being able to get into it. And it was full of weapons and stuff in there.
Yeah, you found a load of files, didn't you? I think as well. If I remember
found a bunch
correctly.
of files, and we also learned that whatever broke out of it, it was interesting because it was very, very strong material. Because Pangolin couldn't break through it, so whatever broke out was clearly built different, as the youths of today say.
We didn't check for alarms, did we? On that door.
I think we had checked for alarm because I remember shutting it off, but I think I failed the roll and it had already gone off.
All right. Yeah.
And we basically grabbed a few of the files and then we poofed them away, bathtubed them out of there, and then left.
Yep. And then you handed over those files to a contact that had introduced themselves at the end of the previous episode. And you don't know her name yet, but she did meet you up. If you remember, she was a very, very strong lady. Yeah. And she didn't really help too much in anything you did, but she did show up and she kind of introduced herself. She gave you contact details for her organization. And yeah, you handed over all that information to her. It was very valuable, but you never really found out anything much that came from that. And we'll just put the recap on hold there before we go on to the next episode. And we'll just dive back into our new characters, see where everyone's got up to. So I can see you've all changed the name of your character sheet, which is great. But now I have no idea whose is who. So, who is Brain Matter?
That would be me.
Great. So let's do. Will this work? No, this isn't going to work, is it? Can I show you?
You can see that it's me.
That's fine. Well, look. No, that's not done it. No, that's not it.
Really?
Sorry, stream. You're just getting every overlay that's going at the moment.
Every time.
Tell you what I could do is I will just show you my. I'll just get that for you. Bear with me. Roll 20 in. There we go. So that everyone on stream can now see that, and they don't have to look at our ugly mugs for the time being. So let's have a look at Brain Matter. So, Brain Matter, also known as Rudimental. Let's have a look. So, So far on your powers, we have capable of moving objects with his mind. Mind reading, can read minds but does not control his power, so we'll definitely need to put a deflect.
Yeah, and I changed that a little bit, as in he sometimes picks up stuff but thinks it's other people living in his head that are talking to him. That's the getting a little bit crazy thing. Thought that was a fun.
Oh, I can see how we could have fun with that very quickly. A bit of flight there. Nice to see. I don't think any of our characters have got flight yet. Oh no, Doc, you've got flight, haven't you? Yeah, Doc. She's nodding. No one can see her, but she is nodding.
Oh yeah, I have flight.
Yeah,
we even use that.
I've only used it when we went to the village properly. I flew up the centre to have a look around. I've used it a little bit on a couple of other occasions, but just to move faster. But that was the only time I've actually used it proper.
Got you.
Pangolin has reverse flight, Josh says.
Burrow.
Borrowing reverse flight, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Then you've got Mental Blast. Can create a blast of kinetic energy to push people away. Okay. So, yeah, capable moving objects, definitely going to be move object. So, the things that we have to consider with move object is the weight of it. This is where your power comes into play and how many power points you want to put into this. So, the weight works... move object. So, move object costs 2 points for every rank that you want to upgrade. So it's a bit of a hefty power to do. But the way move object works is essentially the rank of your move object is how much you can lift, sort of say. In Mutants Masterminds, we have a lovely calculation table. There we go. To work out weight of things. So I will share this with you so that you can obviously see yourself, and I'll show it on stream because it's probably easier on stream to show that. Oh God, where's it going to be now? Did I put it in here? I just realized I should be really careful. In fact, I'm going to have to minimize this bit on stream because there could be secret spoilers being hidden here.
Oh no.
We'll shut our eyes.
Stream, you can't see what's in the folder section now. Rules, there you go. Oh, you should have action to the rules, but I'll pull that up for stream. So the way it works in Mutants Masterminds is essentially the H rank is a weight. So if you look on the table that I will show you there.
Yeah, got it open.
So if you have it at rank 1, you will be able to easily manipulate £100 worth of weight. And it also, so the more power that you want to make that, the more you'll be able to lift it.
Well, since I am Dutch, I use metric. How much is 100 pounds?
We are talking sterling here as
100,
well.
100, that's like 10 babies, right? 10 overweight
10
babies.
I don't know if the babies are an actual unit of measurement.
10 pound babies? Jesus Christ, that'd make your eyes
I said
water.
overweight.
45 kilos.
45 kilos. Oh, that's not a lot. I would want it to be a little bit more than 100 pounds then.
You're muted, Hagen.
I think he wants to be. I think he's gesturing.
But we can't hear you.
So, but the way it works with your power spend is when you put your points in, you'll be able to spend it over the 2 things. So it's not just how much of a weight that you'll be able to carry, it's also the distance. So at the current level you are at, being just level 1, you can put a point in either your mass or your distance. So at the moment, by bog standard, you'll be able to lift 50 pounds, 30 feet. Now, distance really does get exponential in this, and so does weight. So every level you bump it up, you're essentially doubling your capacity. So I'd have a think there, what sort of weights you're lifting, how far it is.
30 feet is 9.144 meters.
There's also a question of,
wow,
do you need to be able to see it? So that'll come into the modifier list of whether or not you need visual range of this item, whether or not you can float it round a corner and you gain perception of where that is, sort of thing. So that's something to think about. So it's really how many points you want to pump into this. Like I said, for every rank you're talking 2 points. And just to reiterate, because obviously I don't think I mentioned this for stream, all of our characters in Mutants and Masterminds, all the player characters, are power level 10, which entitles them to 150 points to spend over their character.
Okay, that's handy to know.
So your character sheet should work it all out for you as you bump it up. It should
it's
down.
At the end of 150 in PowerPoint totals.
Now you can be under that. You don't have to spend it all, but you're not allowed to go over it. So that's something you need to now look at considering, and it takes a bit of balancing to do. And the rule that I have with Mutants Masterminds is between episodes, you are allowed to tweak your numbers.
Okay.
During an episode, if your character's in an episode, between actual sit-down sessions, you can't tweak your numbers. But between one episode to another, you can tweak your numbers. So if you put numbers in, feel it's not right, don't worry. That's absolutely fine. And then mind reading. Let's jump quickly onto mind reading.
Reading, like I said, it's not something he doesn't really control.
Yep. So mind reading, it costs 2 points per rank. I don't know why it says 4 there. Oh, that's because I put mind control, not mind reading.
Yeah.
Mind reading's not on that list, so I'll just put it as move object, so we know.
Mind control is a sensory. Different. Mind reading is sensory.
Now the way it works is there are only four levels to mind reading. So at the first level, you're able to read surface thoughts. At level 2, you're able to read personal thoughts. At level 3, you can read people's memories, and at level 4, you're able to read their subconscious. So your level of your skill is whereabouts on that list you think that will be for your character. Is it? I'm going to guess from your character, you're probably going to be talking surface thoughts or personal thoughts at most.
Surface thoughts, I think.
Yep, so it's just going to be a nice level 1. Now, as standard, if you don't do anything else on this, you'll be able to read the surface thoughts of anyone within 1 cubic feet of you. So within the generic area, up to 30 feet. So anything within 30 feet of you'll be able to pick up their surface thoughts. If you want to increase that, you can put additional points in. They will be the little miss section on the bar, and you can increase that range if you want to be able to go further in range. But we are going to put a negative modifier on you for the fact that you aren't able to control it. Now, I will quickly find that for you and get you that. But I'll tell you where I'm just can't see this for 2 seconds, Stream, while I open up a character sheet that none of you should be able to see because it's just easier. Right, yes, so you basically, the modifier that you'll have is uncontrolled, and that will basically make your rank, your skill cheaper by 1 point per rank. And we basically agree a factor of why and when it's triggered. It can be just triggered randomly. That is something that we can go down. I will ruin your life with that, I will tell you now.
Oh, please do.
So if you want to put in your description of your mind reading there is that it's uncontrolled, which means the total cost is -1 per rank. So that will make things a little cheaper for you.
So in the description, just uncontrolled -1.
Yep, and then if you put in brackets next to it, random. And then we know that obviously it's absolutely random.
I cannot type. Uncontrolled. Random. Alright. 1 point per rank.
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. And then in flight, so flight works very much the same. You do have the rulebook, don't you, Scoon?
Yeah, I have it open here on the power effects. That's why I looked up. That's also 2 per rank.
So the way flight works in this is your actual ability level is how fast you can go. So again, using this lovely little measurement table, which I will re-show for stream and everything, you'll basically be looking at, you'll be working out your speed rank. And the way to do that is essentially your ranks is your distance divided by time sort of thing. So yeah, it's all at the standard 6 seconds. So you can, at level 1, you can fly 30 feet every 6 seconds. So it's basically just like generic movement. At level 2, you'll be able to do 60 feet in that 6 seconds, and so on and so on and so on. Eventually, you could get to the point where you're going faster than the speed of light. I'd highly recommend not.
No. Not when you use a mental capability, then I think you will really go insane.
Yep. And there are other effects if you read into flight and everything where you can have it so that it works underwater in vacuums of space and everything. So I'll leave you to tweet with that on how, if it's just generic flight sort of thing, you need air, simple as, or whether or not there's something else there. And then finally, your last thing that you put in is your mental blast. And that does have its own skill. Is it on the list? Yeah, Mental Blast. Yeah. Now that's 4 points per rank. So that's a very expensive skill.
Yeah, but I think I do have a lot of points.
And that basically falls under the same sort of skill system as attack. Or damage, I should say. So your points in that are basically just going to be how bad of a damage it will be when you roll. How much extra damage you're actually going to cause on that. The Mental Blast, you can also put areas on this, because obviously it might be you blast it in front of you, you blast it around for you. So you will also need to look at what area you want to put it into. I will give you the where you need to go for that. So if you have book, I wonder if their page numbers are the same. So you'll be basically putting an area modifier on you, which should be page 190 on your book. It is in the book.
The deluxe edition, that is.
No, it's not on 190.
Check the next page. It counts the front cover as a page.
Well, it's still it doesn't count in that way. The front page.
But it will be under the modification section of powers, and there are different areas that you can select, which will cost your powers, and each area then defines how many points it is to adjust that area.
Let's see. That's 135 for me.
Even better. Clearly added a lot into the deluxe version. So if you want to read that, give us a shout if you have any problems. Let's have a look at who is Beast Mode. That's the next one up.
That's me. I'm just finalizing it.
Equipment, boxing gloves. So anyone who has equipment, there is a generic cost for equipment. And
it's not a generic cost, it's based on equipment.
Yeah, so basically equipment has its own point system. If it wasn't hard enough to follow with Mutants Masterminds. So in your advantages, you'll want to put equipment. And just title equipment. And every level of equipment allows you 4 points of equipment. Confused yet, chat? This is why it said get your GM to help you make these character sheets. Yeah. So you want to have just advantages, equipment, and then for every point you put in that, it'll let you then have 4 points of equipment.
Okay.
Yep. Boxing gloves, I'm gonna say, will cost you 1 equipment point. So
I was basing them off the knuckle busters in the book.
Yeah. So essentially, you can have lots of equipment, and this equipment covers everything from like a car to guns to the actual battle suit itself, to even just your headquarters. And that's how it works it out, is that it kind of it's basically a quarter hero point for everything you want. So that's your gloves, and I'm just going to quickly jump you over to powers. Apologies if you're actually working on your sheet at the moment. Mutant strength, enhanced trait. Yep. So that's basically just a straight up point cross. Now the reason why you should have it separate and rather than just up your strength on the first page of the character sheet, it's quite simply because the strength on your first character sheet is natural strength. So if your character gains strength from his powers, then in theory they should be listed as a power, because if you say got hit by a ray gun that disabled your powers, you would lose that strength. So that's always something to consider in Mutants Masterminds, is that if it's a genuine power strength, then it should fall as its own power, whereas dumping it into the first field. If you dump it into the first section, just using your sheet as an example here, Borgat, you dump it into this section on your character sheet under the normal strength, agility, and fighting, you're basically saying they're naturally, they've got natural gifts that aren't necessarily powers. Something to be aware of. Won't worry too much about it in this particular campaign, as fuck the rules. Yep, so you're gonna get mutant strength there, dazzling punch. So yep, look, you know what you're doing. I'm not gonna really tweak it too much. I trust you to that aim. Dazzling punch. So yeah, you've got an affliction there, so they're going to become dazed. That sounds about right.
Yeah, which is cumulative, which means if I do it on consecutive turns, it'll continue to push it up until it eventually hits incapacitated.
Yep. And we'll talk that's specifically there by the looks of it, so that you have a knockout rather than a kill switch, basically.
Yeah.
And then combat regeneration, standard regeneration, only active whilst in combat. Okay.
Yeah. Which gives it a -1 per rank, which technically makes it free.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me, because regeneration is really powerful.
Yeah, that looks like you looks pretty good for your character there. -5 points, miscellaneous points. Why have you got -5?
Because of the floor. The floor makes it -1 point per rank.
So it's right, yes.
5 ranks and then negative. Technically, I could push it higher, but I feel like it's already pretty strong. I don't really want to just be invincible in combat. So
there is a hard cap to your power level, where your powers level, which is 1.5 of your power level.
Was it 1.5? I thought it was just your power level.
No, it's a bit more.
This changes some things. I might go back over some of the points.
I mean, Kadari, you're there. I'm sure it is 1.5. Am I right there? I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's the full power level plus half the power level. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'll keep an eye on chat. Thank you, Kadari. I appreciate your knowledge.
What do you think I got this far?
Cap on the power levels was the question. There is a max rank that you can have on any powers. Am I right by saying it is 1.5 of the character power level? Leave that one with him. Yep, so you've started filling out your natural strengths. Yep. If on this page, Borga, if it's from the power, if you drop it in MISC,
that's just base.
Max rank.
Oh yes, right. Of course,
is equal to the power. Yeah. So MISC is if it's affected by powers or suits or anything. Base is the natural. So Kadari's just confirmed there. The max rank is the power level. So there you go.
Yeah, I was doing it right.
I see you started in your skills. Yep. I'll leave you to fill that out, and then you've got your defense section, which you can play around with, because I'm sure this guy's going to be able to defend himself a little bit. But yeah, 108 points. Still got some more points to spend there. So I
don't know why it's 108. I've calculated it out as
0.5. I'm gonna.
Right.
If you've got 0.5, it's because here in Deception, you've only spent 5 points. Oh, but no, you spent 5 in Vehicles, and then you spent 5 in Intimidation. So basically, in your skills, if you only spend an odd amount in total, it's a half a point. Because remember,
one rank for 1 point for 2 ranks.
Yeah, so you get 2 ranks for every 1 point of power level you want to spend. So try and make sure that your ranks are even.
I can see where I've done my
total.
calculations wrong. Then it was on this one.
Fine.
Cool.
So you're happy whittling away on your character sheet there, and
Yeah, I can make him even stronger now.
Cool. I'll leave you with it. And then finally, let's have a look at Lancelot. How are we doing, Lancelot?
Terribly.
Okay, let's have a look. So, Lancelot Mobile Armor. Protection, -1 point per rank. Plus toughness per rank. Yep, removable gives you -21. Protection, 10 ranks. It's costing you 11 in total. Okay.
11!
I'm going to go back to that as I think I've mucked that one up.
Okay. So as well as having your suit in powers and devices, you just need to make sure that you put a suit in equipment. Oh, you have, never mind. I stand corrected, sir. You're ahead of me. Prototype, yep. And then in advantages, you just need to make sure that you've got equipment there and in 1 rank. And because that's how the equipment works. That's free. Your mobile armor, I'm just going to say it's going to be a nice, costly 1 point. So you've got 3 more points of equipment there if you want to throw anything else in. You might have a nice fancy hat, you never know. Jumping back on your powers, yeah, so your suit's going to give you a bit of protection. Sensors, increases your senses, okay. Accurate radio extended 3, yep. Dark vision, yep. Direct sense. Yo, you've done, have you done this before?
I originally wrote this character for the 2nd edition version of this game, and then lost the character sheet, but I remember most of this, which is kind of familiar, but the book for 3rd edition is arranged slightly differently to the 2nd one, so I keep thinking, I know where this is in the book. No, I don't.
Andy, just to jump in quickly,
yeah.
Because you're speaking about equipment, I've just found the advantage in the book. You get 5 points per rank, not 4.
5. Apologies. 5 then. Fair enough. You get 4 more hats. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, 5 points. So looking at your sensors, you're going for a Swiss Army knife guy. You're going to be very helpful in the situation to go, this way's north, guys. And it is currently 6 o'clock. We're going to be late. I love it. I will be disappointed if the time sense of having a digital clock on your HUD does not get used. I'm telling you now, I will be disappointed if you don't bring it up during an episode now. Ultra hearing, always good to hear. Yep, I'm loving this. Life support system. So a life support system basically is about your environment, immunity, I think.
Yeah, the life support's meant to keep you immune from external environmental effects. I've not read up the full immunity for 3rd ed, so for 3rd edition, so I'm not sure if you have to put it towards something specific or keep it general.
You do need to keep it somewhat general. If you want to say it filters air, would be one generalization. And that we would say is anything from pollutants to maybe toxins sort of thing. If you want it, the hot and cold are supposed to be 2 different things. You can have a generic temperature, which would essentially be like having aircon and a heater. But if you want to be able to survive in sub-zero temperatures or molten temperatures, they would be classed as their own. They would cost an immunity point, basically. Kadari's spamming me with information. I'm making sure I'm not saying anything stupid. 10 ranks for life support, total protection against environment, and Amazon. Yep. Yeah, 10 ranks of life support would give you total protection against environment and atmospheric. Yeah. Let me go to life support. Because I thought it was its own section, if I'm not wrong. Or it comes under... yeah, it is under immunity, isn't it? This is why I need someone who has played 3E and knows it to come and teach me properly, please. So 10 ranks in immunity is a common power description such as effects with cold, electricity, fire, radiation, or weather descriptions. Life support. If you just say life support in general, that at level 10 ranks that will include immunity to diseases, poison, all environmental conditions, suffocation, starvation, and thirst. So it automatically feeds you and gives you water. This suit is an amazing feature.
Does it recycle, say, personal water in case I'm in there a while? I mean, just because if I not,
I'm going to imagine if your suit's capable of inserting, it's probably very good at exerting as well. We can say you've attached a Henry Hoover to the bottom, yes.
2 more seconds. 2 more seconds you would have had me there.
Yeah. So at 10 ranks, that's pretty much a good immunity. Yes, Kadari, I will make sure that you have access to all these character sheets to make sure that they are all correct. I would actually appreciate that, thank you. I wasn't going to ask you because I've asked you to do it on every character so far, and I thought I was annoying you.
Yeah, because I still need some help with my stats.
Yeah. Well, don't the stats numbers we will fill out off schedule. Like I said, all I wanted to get off you tonight was just a basic general because, again, not to kind of stress this point because I'm sure it's killing anyone who loves Mutants and Masterminds and plays the rules and knows the rules. In our campaign, we're not too arse about the rules. So if I've got your basics of your powers, I can get you in on the first episode. That's what I'm aiming for. Oh. So we could always get the exact skill points in at a later date, but we will come back to. So just finishing off on your character, Hagen. You got life support, communication system, radio scanner. Not in your sensors.
It's a separate thing. It's everything that's in the head, but the radio is a separate system.
Okay.
According to the rules. Yeah.
Yep.
I would have said it was all in one thing as well, but
I will be going over these with a fine point. I'm just trying to get the gist of your characters. Don't worry. Gives you extra jumping. Who doesn't want that in a nice robotic suit? Leap onto things. Not really a great travel power. Didn't have. Yep. Okay. So maybe some character development there.
Oh yeah, it's a work in progress.
Heavy duty saver, strength, yep. So enhanced straight strength. Sounds about right. Cryogenics, environment, extreme, 2 points. Yes. So yeah, there you go. Covering the really cold temperature, which will probably definitely come in handy when you're freezing everybody. Reduces visibility in the area around the armor. Okay. So, but all right. So you're anti-fogging as well.
Yeah.
You are like a Swiss Army knife.
Utility. I've seen. Look, I've watched some of the previous episodes on YouTube, and all I've got to say is, you need a Swiss Army knife because you're all a bag of spanners, basically. Met in a good way.
I'm loving this gadget suit. You're gonna be like Go Gadget on everything.
Well, now that you've said it that way, yes.
Go Gadget demist.
Add a screwdriver to the end of the finger. Just
funnily enough, if you do that on your powers and have it as command words, you can put that as a disadvantage and gain points. And it makes everything cheaper because you have to do a verbal to make it work. Great way.
Kind of like Shazam.
Yeah.
He needs to activate his like calling Shazam, but he does get hit by lightning. Which probably isn't that fun.
Enhanced dodge. So yeah, it's gonna probably pull you out of a situation if you're not aware. Fighting, just general helpful there. Yep, and ranged attack. It's looking like you've got a good idea of exactly what your suit's going to do, which is quite a lot. So that I can imagine that's going to be very handy. So yeah. So you've, I think you've got a bit more tweaking of PowerPoints there. You said you wanted to do, so I can leave you with that. Don't forget you've got skills to put in some points here. In our campaign, I would recommend think outside the box because anything could come in handy. If we had someone with driving skills, that would have helped us out in many situations.
What are we talking about?
And then you've obviously got your general dodging skills and everything. So, yeah. So I think you've got a very good grasp on that. So I'll leave you to kind of just put those points in on the first page then and tweak your powers. Before we go into the recap, Schoon, Borgat, you got any other questions? Schoon, you said you wanted to talk about your actual PowerPoint spend.
Yeah, I already have some spend, but I think I want to maybe do some a little higher because I couldn't find that thing you said about the mental blast.
Okay.
The direction, but I would say it would be just straightforward. Maybe, well, I did saw one thing.
Would it be like what you can see then?
Yeah, and
that would be perception range.
Yeah.
So
well,
for your,
I saw something, but I don't know if it fits with this power. Where did I precise? As in that I can use the kinetic blast. Not as in a big one that pushes a person away, but I could also just like swipe their feet underneath them.
Okay,
like make it a smaller blast and.
So the areas that you can define your blast is a burst, which would emanate as a sphere around you. A cloud would not. Obviously, it's a circular blast. It would literally be everything within that circle. A cloud kind of is more of like a gaslight, so I don't think we would include that on this as a mental blast. So that kind of goes around corners and whatnot. A cone, which is everything in front of you, cone-shaped. A cylinder, which is more like... It's kind of like
line?
Yeah, it's well, there is line is the next one, so it's not a line is straightforward in front of you. A cylinder is more of like a set cylinder sort, maybe up and down sort of thing, like above you and below you sort of thing. So you could do it as like a whole blast tower, but it's sort of like Paladin calls down lightning strike sort of thing, big beam of lightning sort of thing, sort of cylinder. So for you, I would probably say you'd be looking at burst or cone or a line. If I'm not wrong.
would say line, and because I saw the precise, I would think it's fun to do it with precise because that I could, if I want, really aim for a body part or something, or if I want them to get some problems with breathing, that I can just precisely aim at the solar plexus that they get problems breathing because they get a big smack under their stomach.
Yep. So, as a standard, the area of line, so an area costs you 1 point per rank, so that bumps up your mental blast, which was now 2 points. That's now going to be 3 points per rank to spend in, and so. As a standard, it's 6 foot wide by 30 foot long. If you want to make that longer, you would then put extra points in the miscellaneous to bump that up to the next level in either width or length. So that's up to you. But yes, they're basically, you're going to do it in a direct line. Anything that's in front of you will deflect it, obviously.
And
so,
do I have to put in points for the precise that I can edit, or?
Yes, so again, that becomes the modification of precision. So a precision is 1 point, and that basically allows you to perform a delicate version of that, so you can fine tune it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd have see if you can find the extra list. If you struggle to find the extra list, let me know, and I'll send you a copy of it. But there are other things where you can have it not target certain people, because at the moment this will hit everyone who's in that area. So if you want it so that it only hits certain people, or you can target it.
Yeah, I do want that
that
precise thing, at least. See it on in my book on page 143.
Yeah.
You can use a precise effect to perform tasks requiring delicacy and fine control, such as using precise damage to spot weld or carve your initials, precise move object, or precise environment, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then that I can precisely aim for body parts, but I don't see a list of...
No, it's basically you tell me how precise you're going to drill this down, and I'll tell you the point cost. But as a standard, it'll be 1 point sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you're telling, if you're doing this metal blast, you say you want to be able to precision it down to just one person in front of you, and he's directly in front of you. I will happily say it's 1 point. If you want to say it's precise that you can fine tune it into a bullet shape and dodge certain people to get to the guy at the back, I will probably say that's going to cost you 2, maybe 3 points.
That actually is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So it's, if you're going to, it depends how precise you want it. I will roughly say whether or not it should be more than 1 point. At default, 1 point, which is, I don't want to target everyone in this corridor. I just want to hit this first person. That's 1 point. We'll cover that.
Yeah, I would say that because I think he will focus his powers on the moving objects with his mind and the mental blast and some flight.
Yep.
That it would be like a bullet that he can really... Not that he can evade people with it, but make it a smaller object towards one person that he can hit a body part or something.
Yeah.
In that precision.
I would probably say then that we're probably talking about precision, maybe costing 2 points there, just because you were talking a bit more precise than general. So yeah, I think that's fair. 2 points for that. So now you just need to decide how powerful that mental blast is actually going to be when you roll that. Okay, so I'll leave you with that, and then you've obviously got your skills to put points in, yeah?
Yeah.
And any of your normal strength and agilities if you want to buff yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what every stat does, so...
Okay, the stats are very similar to very much the other games. Your strength, you're talking about your actual capacity and your carrying limits. Agility being your fastness. Fighting is your bog standard, and that will tune into any fighting styles that you pick up. Awareness is very much perception sort of stuff. Stamina is how fast and how long you can go on for. Your dexterity, your dodginess sort of thing, and more athletic sort of stuff. Intellect, your general intelligence, and your presence is your aura. So if you have a high presence, basically people see you and go, "Oh shit." If you have a low presence, people will look at you and go...
presence is kind of like charisma.
Yeah. You can take points off these if you want to go lower. Maybe your hero guy isn't the most intimidating guy out there. Maybe people laugh at him.
I think they will.
Okay, so I'll leave you to kind of put some points in there to get a gist of what you're feeling. You have got the book, so if you're not sure on anything, feel free to just kind of read that up or just send me a message and I'll try and swing back to it. Right, so we're just going to quickly jump back to the final bit of the recap, guys. And like I said, don't worry about your characters if we don't finish them tonight. Daria has volunteered to help out there. So we'll make sure that these are all straight and sorted, but now I can at least just message you and we can go through it one by one and sort of thing. And I know what you're talking about. So finally on the recap. So we left it at episode 1.5. So then we've had a couple more episodes since then. And all these episodes that have come then have kind of all have been very different in what's gone on. We've had a few chop and changes. So on the next episode that happened, you guys were asked to do a special mission for this unknown organization. And you were asked to go to a warehouse and retrieve a crate. And you were told that there would be a distraction. And you didn't know what it was, but on your way, you very quickly realised that it was a blackout across the whole of London. And you got to the warehouse. I believe somebody didn't quite understand how to boot up the computer and ended up frying it to Kingdom Come. Ironic, that, I would say now, thinking about it.
I don't think it happened quite just like that.
No.
You should have asked Pangolin. I hear he's great with computers.
We also saw, so in that episode, we were introduced to 3 new characters. So we saw the first episode for Doc Galvanic. We saw Bouncing Brooklyn, done by Mima, which was an amazing character that came with a sidekick, who by far was the most responsible and helpful person in the party. Which was
never found out his real name.
No. And we also saw Borgai. It was your first character.
That was still Redline.
Which was Redline, who was a speedster.
Yeah. She was already introduced. She was in the side episode with Gem and Pangolin when they were in the house.
So Doc, you had the ability very much similar to Thor. I would easily describe it. Bouncing Brooklyn was like Mr. Fantastic, and of course Redline, you were basically the speedster.
Gotta go fast.
And you broke into this warehouse, and you stole a crate. Does any of you remember what was in the crate? Really important one, this.
It was collars, wasn't it?
Yeah, that you almost put my head into.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one as well. You found a crate of
immediately.
collars, which you later found out that these collars, and just recently on the last episode, these collars have now become a tool for kinetics to control the mutants, because when one puts on said collar, their power is neutralized. And quite ironically, Redline had shoved her head through a crate and was about to put her head in the collar, which probably would have decapitated her had her power activated when her head was glitched through a wall.
Yeah, it would have been a bad time. Or maybe she would have just got like splinched with it.
I was ready for that scenario. It was a shame it never happened. So you're introduced to a bit of strangeness going on. And you bumped into heads with a character that you didn't know at the time was going to be Paul's next character, because even he didn't know. You bumped into Maestro on the way back, who seemed to be the guy who was kind of controlling everyone and reporting everything back to a base of operations, which you didn't know about. Then we saw an episode where you went on a little adventure. I've got this in the right order. The next episode was the motorway episode, was it not?
No, we went to we did a thing before the motorway.
To the caravan in Wales, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yes,
we went to the caravan to find. We were given like the name of somebody.
Yep.
Oh no, we did something else first. We went to
the mansion.
beat the. Yeah, we went to the mansion.
Yeah.
Mr. Booth.
Mr.
Yeah, we got sent there.
Yep. You were asked by this organisation to go and speak to a Mr. Booth, and because he'd popped up in a court case that was going, and he was testifying against kinetics in quite a large way, and there was a big court case that was ongoing against kinetics and whether or not they were up to something they shouldn't be. And he was going to testify, and you were given one simple job of go find him and escort him to that court case and make sure he made it okay.
He just had to have breakfast.
We can't just rush
Look,
somebody out the house.
You don't go to court without having breakfast. Man.
I mean, his breakfast was
It's me, I know.
whiskey, I believe.
Was. Yeah, you met up with him, and yeah, whilst he was talking to you, now he recognized one of you. One of you was more known to him than we had realized.
Yes. I think Gunn and he were friends.
Yeah.
From way back. Well, not that long ago, I suppose. A few years back.
College.
And unfortunately, before you even got a chance to reunite and catch up on the good old days, a bullet came flying through the window and killed Thomas Booth. And none of you saw it coming, regardless of what you rolled. Because you just didn't get the rolls. So you missed opportunities. No, there was a chance you could have stopped that, but you didn't.
I don't remember anything. Anyway, I don't know.
Yep. 2 seconds. So yeah, you then had to make a hasty escape from that situation. Which
we met somebody else as well, didn't we? There.
You did meet someone else. You met a lovely lady who also
died.
Who
also died.
Yeah.
Or did she?
Well. She got shot as well, didn't she?
She did also get shot.
Okay.
She did get shot, yeah.
We took her out the house though.
Yeah.
In the van.
We followed her instructions.
And then she died.
Yeah. You met Margaret.
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 The hostess of the house. And the best bit of that episode for me, if you've not watched it, you should go and watch it, was that she gave Weeping Widow a remote control. Because this was a smart house. And she told Weeping Widow a code. And said, when it's all done, press, enter this code. And now Weeping Widow completely.
This is where we discovered my inability to remember numbers.
And had no idea why she'd be given remote control.
Dyscalculic.
Weeping Widow pressed said buttons, not the buttons she was told to, but just started pressing random buttons, causing certain things in the house to start happening, and then everyone got even more panicked, thinking something else was going wrong because all the doors were opening and closing around the place.
I don't know why anyone lets me play these games.
Meanwhile, if you didn't think that was going horribly wrong, meanwhile upstairs, Pangolin had been sent to retrieve a computer, ripped the computer to shreds in attempt to pick it up because he hadn't realised it was, for some reason, bolted to the floor, and almost destroyed any chance of any retrieval of any decent documents possible. But fortunately, due to fast thinking and a very good roll, turns out there was a second hard drive, a backup.
There's also a diary as well.
And a diary. And you managed to escape the house with Margaret, who died as you left, because you didn't notice, because you were all too busy fixated on the fact that you'd just blown up the house because Weeping Widow had entered a code into the remote as she was instructed to do, and the whole house went sky high. And no one thought to check on the person who was with you who had been shot and was bleeding out everywhere. Nor did any of you
arguing over code numbers, if I recall.
And nor did any of you attempt to do any first aid or any medical situation whatsoever that could have helped prevent Margaret's death there and then. Instead, you just dragged her along, threw her in the car, and hoped for the best. And that was how Margaret died.
It wasn't quite like that.
It wasn't quite like that. It wasn't. To be fair, Weeping Widow needed a business.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I just thought, for the record, I would state that the numbers are written down on a piece of paper here that I got wrong.
Yeah.
They are.
So that you wrote down the wrong numbers.
I think I was being trolled.
You did. But one of the things that you did after that is that you read in the journal and you had an inkling, and you were kind of nudged. Is you were left with a name, and it was going to be part of that episode because then you started heading on the motorway. Then it kind of all went to shit.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it went shit a little bit before that because the only vehicle we were offered to do this road trip was an ice cream van.
Yep.
Yeah.
For a start.
This is where I learned the importance of having points in skills.
Yep. I mean, I think we got there fine. It was the way back.
On the way back.
Yeah.
So you
One
would
poor roll from Maestro.
you were sent up to Wales to speak to a man, which you got some interesting information from. Well, no. First, should I say, you went to a house. You probably all forgot this. You went to a house.
We did,
and you met a lady.
And didn't somebody get nearly mind wiped or something?
I said that it was a possibility that I could do it.
Yeah.
If memory serves, Weeping Widow was like, "Yeah, you should just do it. Who cares about the risk?" And I was like, "So you want me to just potentially like make her brain dead?" And then we didn't do that. We just convinced. I think Gunn just spoke to her.
Oh, well, yeah.
Convinced her the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, potentially. That may have happened. Then we were given the caravan.
Oh, the caravan.
That's when we were given the caravan.
So you'd found out by this
address,
woman
wasn't it?
Yeah, you'd found out that this woman was in protection by Thomas Booth, and he was hiding her from Kinetics, and that she had instructions that upon his death, that obviously she was now going to go into hiding. But she gave you the information regarding a person of interest who held a key and a very important piece of information. And so you set off to Wales to go and speak to this gentleman because you had the feeling that with Thomas Booth being dead and it was going to be announced any day on the news that it was very important that you obviously find this guy before he too disappeared. And you made quite a normal trip
in an ice cream van.
In an ice cream.
That's how normal it was.
Yeah.
And you met this gentleman. Did any of you remember what kind of happened?
He turned into a fart cloud and tried to suffocate us.
That's right, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. He started removing the air around you and from in your lungs.
Kind of rude, to be honest.
Very hostile situation. You did just drive up upon his caravan late at night. It was in an ice cream van. Don't think anyone would do anything differently in that.
I mean, this guy clearly did not want an ice cream at that moment.
No.
He didn't play the music, I don't think.
It turns out he was actually lactose intolerant, and that's why he was really
I was very offended.
In that case, that makes far more sense that he would try and kill us then.
Yeah. Because you literally were driving on with a vehicle that's branded to kill him.
Or at least make him very uncomfortable for the next few hours.
Yeah, and so you had a event. You were able, fortunately enough, to calm him down because one of you doesn't really get suffocated. I think it was Pangolin, wasn't it?
I think so.
Pangolin has a cheeky little "I don't need air," and was able to lower and de-escalate the situation. And you found out that he was holding this key.
It's for Lance Industries.
You were fortunate enough. You were very quickly able to identify where the key was for. Now, this confused you because at this point you had Thomas Booth's journal, which had a page of cryptic notes, which you've managed to
spent a long time on those.
You managed to decipher some of the notes on that page. And just for chat, so that you understand exactly what we were talking about, because this page has still caused chaos up until now. This is the page that you were introduced to. Now, obviously, I did kindly do a nicer sheet for you that's a bit more typed up. There it is for those of you who are in the game. And you spent a lot of time deciphering this and trying to guess at what it was and what it is, and you still haven't solved all of it, which is quite interesting. But yeah, you were managing, and it was this bottom left section of information that you were introduced to. You worked out that the key was for that. And you'd correctly identified that the key was for a safety deposit box. And you'd left the man after he gave you a bit of tale about the history, but he told you something. Did any of you click on to what he had told you?
Told us the
And I'm going to be book open and multitasking.
Told us the kid's name.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he told us that he was Arthur's father.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's Arthur's father, yeah.
I don't actually have any notes from that. My notes started from the next session. Whoops.
He told us Kinetic owns Lands Industries.
Yep. Yeah. So he'd announced himself as the father of this kid, and at this point you still didn't know who this kid was, and what the connection was to any of it. I don't believe anyway. But then the next episode, you were then going to go to the bank.
Look.
But then there was a bit of a situation on the motorway when you came back from Wales.
Didn't happen. Don't know what you're on about.
No, there's no evidence to prove that any of that motorway happened.
Unless this is the point when you're going to force us to tell the story. No.
Yeah,
No, because there's the one episode of the IMT back catalogue that went missing.
Yeah.
Well, actually...
Unfortunately, the episode was lost.
It was?
And
it actually was.
We're never going to get it back unless...
It's like its very own conspiracy. It's great.
Disappeared into the world of the nether.
And yeah, what did happen, for those who did watch it, is a brilliant sequence of events.
Well, it's more a catalogue of failures, wasn't it? It was
a proper comedy, like banana skin, multiple times,
cascading series of
everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Series of unfortunate events.
It was, and then you got back. And what we're just gonna do now, chat, is I'm just gonna take a quick 5-minute break. Because
wait, I've just found my notes for the motorway. Do you want to see what I wrote? Okay.
She'll just read out our notes for the motorway.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if you want to do that, because I just need to. I will be listening, but I'm
there
just
are notes. They've all been destroyed.
It
said Doc, power surge, motorway crash, explosions, helicopters, people screaming, running away, group separated. Doc tries to save people. Helicopters, flying speck, helicopters. Pangolin starts to lose colour. He runs away. Widow runs away over a field. Doc tries to save people. Maestro recognises that the speck is Arthur, the special kid. Man with wings freezes the scene and tells Doc Gunn to go ASAP. That's my notes from the session.
My notes say, a simple bank trip. We never got there because we were planning to visit a bank, which was from the notes we had. Then we have, this is the key phrase, incident on M4. That sums it up. Lack of plan / leadership led to increasing drama. At least one human casualty, - 2 fatalities. Multiple faces seen. Mutants similar to Arthur arrived, stopped time, and allowed us to flee. That's all the notes I have. There was a lot more that happened.
There was.
I remember Gunn was a
what
bit
we
torn. Gunn was kind of torn. He was like half wanting to just get out of there and then kind of half sort of having to feel a bit responsible. Is that right?
Yeah, everything just went
no.
so wrong.
I don't know.
You ended up
I can't remember. I
You
was
were standing
trying.
next to my. You were standing next.
Gunn
to
was trying to get Doc to go, because I think Doc had felt very responsible for some guy in a Tesla.
No, we completely forgot about the Tesla.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Let's mention that Doc Galvanic decided the best thing to help in this situation on a live motorway was to cause an EMP, which caused a guy in a Tesla to lose all power and flew off the motorway.
We didn't.
No
know.
one even went to go and find out what happened to him.
He was on the other
Turns
side
out
of the
he
road.
died.
I mean,
We were stopping them taking pictures of the big blue pangolin that went to go trash.
Yeah, and you
people.
also
The
stopped
police
that
man
poor
was there.
guy's brakes.
What?
This is
he
also
was driving a
coincidentally,
Tesla.
This is
Carry
also
on.
coincidentally why the smart motorways have been pushed back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't we
but-
get like helicopters, like TV helicopters appear and all sorts?
Yep.
Angling through
Until somebody threw car doors at them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was GTA 5-star going on right there. I mean,
And
it was
it
awesome.
was. But funnily enough, that was the last time that any of you actually saw Pangolin,
Yeah, I was about to say.
which was when he ran up into the distance and was taking on a Kinetics helicopter by lobbing parts of cars that he'd acquired.
He's dead now.
You've not seen Pangolin since, so be
I had a
interesting-
theory, and I've not discussed this, but I had a theory that Gem might have actually asked Pangolin to dig out a space underneath one of his flats, one of his houses in London. So I had this theory that that Pangolin's been constructing a new base for us because because we need one because we've been compromised.
Yeah.
So,
That was my
maybe
theory.
a new character will have somewhere they live.
But
Wink.
very, very importantly, I think what you all realised is that you pissed off one particular mutant. And it was the mutant that came to save your sorry asses from it escalating even further.
We didn't piss them off. He knew he just learned what he was getting into by hiring us.
Yeah, he basically he told you all to sod off, and
You
he's
need to
dealt
go
with the
now. I'll
situation.
deal with it. And then he face bombed.
Yeah,
And he spent the last however many years filling out insurance claim forms.
yeah.
Um,
And you left
Biggest
the
time
area.
powers.
Most of you got away very stealthily from that point. Weeping Widow was caught on the news helicopter running through a field, screaming. And then that was it for that episode. Then we had a simultaneous episode. So the next two episodes happened at the exact same time.
Oh yes, it was an interesting one. This one.
So on one side of the coin, Gun, you helped with a mission to infiltrate a kinetics facility. And this was because of the mutant you from the fire incident. You'd met up with him a bit more and you talked to him, and you'd found out obviously that his brother has been captured by the mutants, and you were asked if you would be willing to help out and infiltrate this facility.
okay.
Not Gun, sorry, Gem.
I was going to say, I completely
Not
forgotten
gone.
about this.
These
I was wondering where you were going.
I should also state that we've had
Love Gem.
this
Yeah.
happens quite a bit.
That's because those names totally do not sound alike.
I'm
Not at
Pangolin.
all.
You scum.
Yeah, so you
It was game.
you went on a mission to infiltrate Kinetic's base.
Hmm?
And you did, didn't you? You went in. You had a
Along
bit of
with
help
Alex.
along with Alex, who was your mentor, your contact handler. Is probably
Really good at getting out of sticky situations.
Yeah.
Yep.
What coat was he wearing for that particular
It
mission?
was red when we saw him.
And yeah, you went to go and assist with that. And
You met a lovely child. This is very polite.
you
Don't.
kind of
Don't.
That was
Horrible.
cool.
you kind
Horrible
of
character.
you got to see firsthand
Ben.
what it's like on the other side of the Kinetics wall. Because you pretty much played a Kinetics character. That's who you were infiltrating. You were pretending to be one of them. You went through a facility where children who were mutants were being contained, educated, and
Indoctrinated.
either released or shipped somewhere.
Hmm.
And it wasn't. It wasn't like it was almost eerie, wasn't it? Because the children seemed fine. They weren't being treated poorly or anything. They weren't being treated.
They were still
horribly.
prisoners.
Yeah, but they were. There was definitely some brainwashing going on there that I think we all realised. There's definitely something going on. Certain, I think you noticed it more when I think you were in the common room and you saw what was on the TV and everything, and it was anything against mutants and what they were doing outside. It was definitely there, sort of thing. And they were being told that they were dangerous and that Kinetics would help them. And you managed to find the kid that you were looking for, and you met a friend along the way and an enemy. And you made a hastily escape out of the facility, because your cover got blown very quickly, if I remember correctly.
Yes, because somebody was watching from over the bookshelf divider between the seats and had happened to hear, and then toadied off to
I
explain
didn't know what
to
you're talking about.
the superiors about what he'd heard and seen, thus being the catalyst for a series of events that resulted in Danny's incarceration.
Hashtag save Danny.
Yeah.
Save
exactly
Danny!
Danny, the mutant who was a telekinetic mutant, was able to hold back the guards whilst you made your escape. Which you did. Then, the rest of you, you went to the place where the safety deposit box was. And you had a plan to infiltrate this base. You were going to keep it cool and smooth. Although it almost didn't happen right. And you were sat in your hearse outside when you saw a familiar face walking past and decided to physically assault them with the car door.
I did not, and to this day I will dispute that, you troll.
I remember a roll being made, and you swung that door a bit more than you had anticipated.
Mighty hard. Yeah.
And you ended up
Excellent.
taking out the shins of said old woman.
He wasn't using them.
But the woman that you'd recognise was Margaret, who you knew to be dead.
Bloody Margaret.
And you had an interesting conversation with Margaret, if you remember.
She's a pain in the arse.
You was.
Do you still understand? Do you understand yet how the Margarets work? And
No!
So,
There's lots of annoying Margarets, and one has knowledge and when one dies, other one gets.
There were
things
20
and...
clones made of Margaret, essentially through
Margaret-
power testing stuff.
Margaret was a clone of Thomas Booth's daughter, which confused you at first because obviously Margaret looked older than Thomas Booth. But she'd hinted that this was an issue with the cloning system, and that there was in fact multiple Margarets, and that they had a secret underground communication system that they were using to operate with. They were almost like a very advanced spy team squad that you'd encompassed. And you were talking with her, and she basically understood that you needed some information. And she basically said, it may take a bit of while because of the chain of communication that they use to get that information down the chain to the Margaret that's actually in charge. And then she disappeared on you.
Oh. Safe to say, I don't like bloody Margaret.
Meanwhile, was it Red Line at this point, or had you?
We were on Maestro at this point.
Yep, Maestro and Doc, you'd gone into the bank with Gun and Gem as backup. Gun and Gem stayed.
Galvanic.
Oh,
Gem was at the children's place.
Oh yeah. Who was else in the bank?
Galvanic.
It was
Gun was in the reception.
Gun, Gem, Doc Galvanic, Maestro, and Widow.
Gem
was outside.
Widow was having a fight with Margaret.
Gem was with us, yeah.
Yeah, Gem was in the reception.
What was the mission we did when we was? Oh no, wait, no, I can't remember because there was a thing that we did when we didn't have Gem with us, right?
It was a few weeks, yeah. That was the end. That ended the motorway sequence.
Yeah, it was.
Were you with us on the motorway sequence?
No, I was watching.
That's where I
saw it.
Yeah.
No, you didn't see anything. You saw nothing.
You saw it on the news and was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all there.
Yeah. So Gun and Gem, you stayed in the lobby of the bank, and you met an interesting character. You remember anything weird in the bank?
Something happened to Gun.
Yeah.
There was. I know there was a delay. We'd sent two people down to go into the basement bit to get a safety deposit box, and there was kind of they were a little bit delayed, and so Gunn decided he was going to try and get to the manager of the bank by pretending to be a journalist.
Yep.
And he encountered a guy that was able to. I don't know. It was able to make him out or something, wasn't it? By touching him.
Yeah, you had what could only be described as two events. You were both in the bank, and yet you both have.
Oh, that's right.
Two recollections of what happened. Neither of you know what actually happened, but you know something definitely wasn't right. Because Gun, you remember having a fight, and you remember having a weird scenario take place.
Yeah, it wasn't quite a fight. I think there were a number of guards kind of showed up when Gun protested against the fact that the press were not being allowed to get the truth, to speak to whoever it was. I think it was the manager, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Gem
and their response was to send a load of guards into the lobby, which Gem doesn't remember.
Yeah, Gem, you never saw those guards enter the lobby. You just remember seeing Gun go, "Okay, I'll leave," and walked out. And you both, and I assume you've talked to each other, you both seem to have two very different ideas of what actually happened in that bank.
And I think we also found out that mutant powers didn't work inside the bank. There was the weird thing on the walls
Yeah,
that was preventing.
Your powers worked inside the bank, but if you remember, you couldn't penetrate walls.
Yeah, that was
inside. Yeah.
It was almost like the walls of the building were electrified, and you just couldn't work your way through them or anything. And while that was happening in the lobby, Doc and Maestro, you'd gone down, and you were presented with a lockbox that needed a password.
I hated that. And I got so mad.
And you were thinking way too much onto the
That's
Thomas
what I
Booth
do.
notes.
You know that's what I do, Andy. I overthink everything.
And you overlooked a simple password that was there.
It was the shopping list, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
something, wasn't it? The shopping, yeah.
And there was a bit which was in the diary which we hadn't looked through.
But fortunately, you managed to work it out before you set any alarms off. It was on the third attempt. It was a very close call.
On the last attempt, it was horrible.
And you opened up the safe. Do you remember what was in the safe?
I think I have notes on that.
Tube injector thing of something.
Yeah. Syringe for a blue glowing liquid and a USB.
Yep. And you still don't know what this syringe is, but that's still in your party's inventory. Up to.
I thought we gave that to Alex.
You did. He gave it you back.
Oh,
they didn't know. What
I think we theorize it could be something that completely removes powers, but based on what what's his face was doing, it could be a syringe to give an unpowered person powers, but we're not sure.
And the USB you did hand over to Alex, and they're still working through that, and they've given you some information that they found and talked to you about some of the information, which also again produced another episode for you.
Kinetics have multiple space stations. 3 of them, in fact.
Not space stations. Space stations?
Space stations.
Yeah, PlayStation. Space stations.
Game.
And then after you left the bank with that information and everything, and you got back together, you went somewhere very special.
The church.
Went underground, didn't we, in the church?
Yeah.
You were told to meet Alex at the cathedral.
Did confession.
And you all confessed. And yeah, you were led into a secret passageway under the church, down a very large tunnel that required a lovely car drive.
Lots of questions.
And then you were presented to a pit underground, a large cavern,
100-mile-wide crater
of a huge crater going down, which all the way down had homes built into the walls and everything, and it was a huge secret underground mutant sanctuary. And you got your first proper introduction to the mutant known as IMT. No connection to me.
Sure.
No, it's spelt right. That's why. That's how you can tell.
Because they explained that all the so-called what we knew as gods are actually mutants.
Yes.
The old gods.
And this crater was made by them.
Yeah.
And he had advised you that he was one of the very few that was still operating, and he was the only one there in charge of protecting all those mutants that were living in the crater. And that was his responsibility.
And we were told... Oh, go on. I'm getting excited.
No, go on. You go for it.
I was going to say, we asked who runs Kinetics to the guy, and he told us it was Walter Hugh, but we were not to harm him. And that we fear the wrong mutant. Which was very cryptic, and I don't understand that. And we also got told that another sanctuary had fell because of Kinetics.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you were on your way. And he did suggest that obviously there was work that needed to be done, and he would be in contact and everything. Now, before we finish up on the last episode that happened, Gem, your character, there was something that I think may have gone overlooked. So I'm just going to kind of take you back. When you were in the facility, Kinetics, you broke into somebody's office to try and get some information. I don't know if you recall.
That's right. I seem to remember them having a lot of... They didn't have any photographs. It was all actual paintings of people, wasn't it?
Then there was
Very
a kid
cool.
that
Do
was.
you remember
like,
them?
there was a kid there that was able to do that. There was a kid that was doing that. Yeah.
We
now
don't
you
know if it was a
mention
kid, but we
Oh.
know it was a mutant.
A mutant was doing something, and there was
Yeah, they could draw a picture of anybody, even if they hadn't met them before.
yeah.
Yeah. And you obviously when you were introduced to the pit, you were kind of told that there was a lot of mutants there, different powers and everything. And then that kind of brings us to the last episode, where you were asked to, well, you had the opportunity, because you had requested this, an opportunity to save Danny. And with the information gathered from the USB that you had, and some of the information that was gathered when they had the blackout, they had got information that there was going to be a transferal that would probably include Danny. And you set up an ambush. You knew the route that the truck would probably be taking. And Doc went to town on all the kinetics people.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, it was during a storm, and she got overexcited, and couldn't control a lot of the lightning bolts.
There may have been some fatalities. There may have
Oh,
been.
brilliant.
There was only fatalities.
Isn't it?
It was quite
Oh,
a
we saved
shocking
some people from
experience,
inside the
actually.
truck.
The last
Oh.
ones that died
Oh, I
weren't
see
my
what you
fault.
did there.
The last ones that died weren't my fault.
And
Somebody else blew up
Yeah,
the back.
The 10
That's right,
before
underneath.
were all you.
All
man-
others.
you managed to secure the van. Who was in it? Who remembers who was in this van that you'd secured?
Danny
There was that. Yeah, there was that creepy old woman, wasn't there?
Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah, that just hung around.
Yeah.
And there was another one that wouldn't leave. I don't think.
Yeah, there was an older man.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave.
Never
That's
trust old
creep-
people that don't want to leave.
Creepy woman.
There was an old man, creepy woman. Do you remember why was the woman creepy? Do you remember?
She
She
kept
was
asking
old.
for. She kept asking for cards, didn't she? She was walking.
No, I think she got given a card, but I don't
Yeah.
think
I mean,
No, she
I don't
was-
think she didn't say a lot, if I recall.
she said she was
Um,
Pre-
gonna come
and then
with us.
she's
She like
yeah.
waited,
And she waited, yeah.
but she got a
Yeah.
card.
You did get a
She
card.
She did. Of course, she got a card because
You left
cards
a
have been
card
handed out.
for the
Yeah, I mean-
strange woman who decided to stay at the car crash and not leave with you.
Oh, you handed a card out to somebody who's probably a kinetics agent.
Yeah.
Smart.
That's why
That's
I'm
what we
thinking
did
that
at base,
Pangolin.
right?
I'm
That's why
surprised this is the
Pangolin's
first
digging-
time it's happened.
I mean, I think
Muted
Muted.
Ange.
I said she's old and she might die, so I gave her my business card.
But she's
What, at the scene of a kinetics van that you just
As an
killed a
old
bunch of people around.
she's not necessarily going to be needing it. It's her next of kin that might be requiring the business card.
I mean, to
Um,
be fair, I think it was like, if you need us, here's Here's where we are.
I seem to remember there was a bit of coercion from this old woman. I seem to remember she was being, like, just a little bit knowledgeable. I thought she had...
have you got any business cards?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it was something like that. I'm sure.
Yeah,
there was
I would have been that stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. She actually.
Am I right, Infinity?
Yes, you are. She actually acted as if you were already going to do it. She actually preempted you giving her the card and was almost waiting for it.
She'd obviously watched the previous episode.
Yeah.
Didn't she wait for a tree to fall or something?
She did.
So
she sat down in an area right next to where a log came down, and she didn't flinch or anything. It was weird. You almost thought that she actually knew that it was going to happen, because as soon as it did, she kind of just put her feet up as if it was already there before she sat down, and she kind of just. It was very strange.
As a question from somebody who wasn't in that session, did you check to see if she had a tattoo on her neck?
No, we were just trying to get out of there.
To be fair, there was a lot of murdering and stuff going on at the time.
I went to heal myself and Danny at the end. I didn't.
Yeah. And you got Danny out. Was there anything weird about that? Do you remember?
He was unconscious. He'd been strapped up and drugged.
Yeah, he was like connected to a lot of stuff, wasn't
he? Well, I suppose the other thing that kind of different from everybody else is that he was still breathing.
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, he does need air.
Yeah, I went to go help him. You know, little things.
I think he did a fine job. I think
that was a great episode. The whole scene, the whole scenes in that were phenomenal, with the storm and the lightning coming down and that being channeled, and the explosions and the fighting and the chaos. It was fantastic. I was
I was coerced into doing that. Like I was convinced to do most of their roles.
Yeah, why you the whole? Do you really want to try that? Do you want to test your power?
Hey, why not?
To say
it was. How Andy works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you managed to rescue Danny, and you sent him to the Haven.
Did we?
Yeah. You met up with Alex, and they took him.
And we all know that it's actually Ben, right?
Yeah.
If it is, I haven't been told, but I still hope it is, because I really tried to plant that idea in Andy's brain. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a mole on the inside. I hated that character.
That pretty much brings us up to date.
I'm a bit confused.
Why? What's confused you?
Everything?
I don't remember sending Danny away. I thought we were having to save him.
No, you rescued him.
I thought we were still healing him. Like,
he was like drugged up and highly unconscious, but you got away with him. I mean,
but now you're saying it's Ben.
Well,
the one we hate.
I'm not saying it.
I said that. I said that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But we ended the episode, and I kind of concluded that you drove away, and you would meet up, and you would hand him over as planned, right?
I don't know. Did we though? I'm not sure we did.
Well, the GM said we did.
We did.
Yeah, I know.
Let's say we
did.
That's fine.
It might not
that's
just
the scene
be
that's
out loud that we all remember. Either that or we were all just what just happened.
Yeah. Well, you rescued him one way or another. That's for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rescued.
Wow.
A bloody nose for kinetics.
Very, very bloody nose for kinetics. And that kind of completes our recap.
Wait.
Does it now? Is there anything else you remember that you want to bring in?
Yeah, we had the whole thing about the stage and Walter guy, and then Gunn getting on TV for being killer of kinetics, and
God, yeah, we did, didn't we? God, which episode did that come from now?
July the 31st.
Must have been the first Danny episode.
Yeah, no, it was before you went to
the
rescue.
mansion.
It was
Gun's backstory.
It wasn't the mansion. It was before you
Because
went.
Walter Hugh appeared on a platform and tells about the mutant thing, and then about eliminating
Trying to
mutants.
remember
He
what
puts the
that
dog
was.
collars, stops power, made of titanium.
I know it
It
happened.
can't be broken.
I just can't remember which episode
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was.
I'm gonna guess Andy because I know when we spoke with Infinity, that was the last episode with Maestro. The next episode after that we did was Gem's backstory, where we all played kinetic soldiers and did a thing. And then I'm guessing that whatever this thing was, what happened at the start of the Save Danny saga.
No, I don't think it did because we went. I don't know. Did we?
I don't remember it as well.
It was Gun's backstory.
Because I remember we basically got told that we had to go and see that before you do anything.
Yes,
Oh,
you
we
did.
did.
We went
Sorry,
to go and
no,
see the
you're right.
Before the trip.
Oh,
before we went to rescue Danny. That's what it was.
It was before you went to
Alright.
rescue Danny. It
Is
was.
it in the wrong place in my folder? Because it's the last thing in my folder.
But did we
Yeah.
touch on as well the part? What was Gun's backstory? Where
Yeah, we did the whole Gun backstory thing, didn't we?
This is
One
great how
backstory was
none of us
great.
know what this was.
I mean, we're not
Even
reading.
me. More
I
so
don't
me.
have the notes.
I know. But yeah, no, the one
Gun
that,
was a kinetics agent and all. We had all that, wasn't there?
that happened. Yeah, that would have happened at the beginning of One for the Road, which is where you went to save Danny. It did happen then because it was right after the backstory episode, and it was before you actually saved Danny. Yeah, and quite rightly, we'll just quickly gloss over that because it was quite important. You were told that something interesting was happening at Parliament, and a big announcement was going to happen. That you should go there in person to check out and see what was going on. And Kinetics announced the neck collars to the world, the ones that you'd found in the warehouse. And they'd done it as if it was like a brand new phone announcement. You know, it was like a big press thing. They brought a mutant onto the stage and they put the collar on. And just when everything was like finished and everyone was happy and cheering and it looked like it was the end, a gun went off. Not gun, a gun. And the mutant was killed. The one that was on the stage with the collar on.
Whoopsie poopsie.
And call it bad timing or bad idea, but at this moment, Gunn decided that he wanted to get high up to see if he could see where this shot had come from. And he got higher than the crowd. And when Kinetics looked out into the crowd to see where the shot had come from, they saw Gunn. And Gunn did see somebody slip away. Unfortunately, the crowd was too much and they lost him. But Kinetics definitely identified Gunn. So much so that when you got home, after later on, you were actually wanted. And your face was on the news, Gunn. And Kinetics were offering rewards for any information on you.
Yeah, because we'd found out before that Gunn used to work for Kinetic.
Yeah.
And that's how he knew Thomas Booth, wasn't it?
Yep. And we saw that in your Origin episode.
Yeah.
We also saw that other weird thing, which I don't think has come back up again yet, which was we saw essentially a clone of Gunn,
There's
right?
two Guns, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Only Gunn knows that information because that was in his Origins. I did kind of tell you guys that this would be Gunn only knowledge. Now Gunn is aware that and that ended the Origin episode. which was amazing because you didn't see this coming, Mark, did you? You knew something was playing. I told you something was going to happen. And you found out at the end of the episode that a clone of you was made. And what nobody knows, apart from you and me, Gun, is
which gun is gun.
Gun is gun. Yeah.
The one was not Pangolin.
Yeah. And so that origin episode, if you didn't see that, that's worth watching as well, because that was a really good side origin episode for Gun's character history. And I'd probably recommend all of you maybe go back and watch that before the next episode starts, which will be in 2 weeks. Because I think there is a few bits that happen in that origin episode that may come alive. Obviously, I know you can't use that information, but it will be worthwhile to go, I see. And yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a good recap. Is there any bits that any of you want to bring up that you remember that we've not discussed there?
I think
AWOL. Pangolin is AWOL.
Yeah.
Maestro went to do a thing.
Yeah.
Bouncing Brooklyn. She's went off, presumably doing other jobs within the organization that has no name.
Yep. And so we'll be back with episode 7 of Mutants Masterminds campaign in 2 weeks' time. We'll find out who's actually going to be on that roster, and that could include any of our new 3 players. So we'll just quickly jump straight back to them now, and just see where we're up to on them, so that you guys, we know what we're going to be looking at. So we have going down the list. We have Lancelot, who is coming in. So do you want to? What we'll do now is I think we'll just get a nice little backstory to your characters. If you want to give us a final sum up of your characters, if you wish. So Lancelot is going off his powers. Lancelot is a person who has a suit, and has freezing abilities, able to withstand the cold temperatures and everything. This is a suit that you said he made himself, yeah?
Yeah, well, technically, he made it for his former employers and then stole it when he realised they were trying to weaponize it.
Ooh, I know, that does sound like right down Kinetics' alley, really, doesn't it?
Thought you might like that.
Should we say that? We'll make it canon here live for you. There you go. There you go. So we have an ex. You worked for Kinetics, your character, and you were in the weapons department of the science facilities. Maybe you even knew Thomas Booth, although he was more on the genetic side in the science labs.
Yeah.
Why do I get the feeling he's a genius playboy billionaire philanthropist?
Yeah, I thought about that, but I realised there's a limit to my roleplay capabilities. Yeah, I can do none of those.
Yeah.
I can do awkward, weird, and weird. That's my range.
Yeah, so you were with Kinetics. You've developed this military suit for them, and then when you realised what they were probably going to do with it, you decided to steal your plans and your tech, and now you're using it against them in any way you can.
Yes.
Nice.
Cool.
Might also have had a slight. I might have also helped them with certain other pieces of technology that I'm largely regretting now.
Ooh, I like
Now,
that.
actually, I'm kind of thinking maybe he knows about the other gun then.
No, don't do guns.
Oh.
What about the
That's
collar
possible.
that limited that helped stop powers?
The color.
Maybe you were part of that team as well.
It's entirely possible. Somebody roll a d6.
You roll a d6.
Just D6.
Yeah.
Now this is I'm gonna say something here.
Uh-oh.
And this is probably going to cause a little chaos to anyone who is frantically keeping an eye on their notes right now. Because I'm going to tell you who you works for at Kinetics then.
Why would we make a note of that? We won't know that in character, Andy, so we shouldn't make a note of it.
No, but I think I have to.
But you will be juicy glossing over it, I'm sure. Don't you worry. And you reported to a person. You were ahead of the robotics at one point, weren't you?
I was
You
an
were
engineer.
there, yeah. But you were kind of like you worked closely with the head of robotics then, and the director, who was Tony Brightworth.
No, name's not ringing the bell.
No, it wasn't to you. Don't worry. But yeah. So you can put that in your character sheet because that has just tied you into something that you don't even know.
Oh, good.
Dun, dun, dun.
I have something to look forward to in dread and fear.
There you go. You've just opened a door that's probably going to cause chaos without you even realizing.
Aw.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good to know. So we'll hopefully be seeing you in the roster. And there's a couple more episodes, so it might not be the next episode, depending on your availability, of course. But yeah, possibly we could be seeing Lancelot in the next roster.
Really regretting
Then
that name now that you keep saying it like that.
Lancelot.
Yeah.
And then we have Beast Mode. Beast Mode.
Oh.
Sorry,
I was in the middle of writing. Hello, that's me.
So your character is a ex. Well, not
So
really ex.
Beast
really.
Mode. So Beast Mode was, or is, I suppose, until probably very recently, is a young up-and-coming boxer, heavyweight boxer, risen through the ranks, and he suddenly had like a spurt of wins, just one after the other, which increased sort of his fame and his following, which has obviously got him a fair bit of money from the wins. But he actually has, when he reached a certain age, his mutant powers activated, maybe a little bit later than some people, as most other mutants.
Mm-hmm.
And he now has increased strength, regeneration, and he's used his money to live a quite comfortable life until recently, where I would imagine he was approached by somebody on the team, maybe not, maybe Alex, probably Alex. And obviously after seeing the news of suppressing powers, it's worried him. So he's on board to help this unnamed rebel group.
Okay.
And he has a nice penthouse apartment, which a nice reinforced SUV, all the luxuries that somebody who has made money from doing stuff has.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he's pretty basic when you look at the other mutants that we have in the group. He doesn't stand out too much.
Yep.
Which has probably helped him stay under the radar for so long.
Okay. So again, interesting. It'd be interesting to see how they come in. Probably a bit of celebrity, might even get a bit more extra attention from especially football fans in London.
Why football
if there
fans?
are any. Football fans. Boxing fans. Maybe football fans like you as well. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like a good fight.
Maybe you accidentally punched a footballer at one point, and that's why they know you.
Yeah.
There was no controversy.
Yeah. Who knows? So that'll be interesting to see. So again, might see you in the next roster. Who knows? But we'll definitely see you before the end of the season. We'll make sure of that. And then finally we have Brain Matter.
Yeah.
A new, somewhat new, a new like I want to say telepathetic person. A
Telekeen.
person. It's telekeen.
Telekinetic.
You've got a TV in your pocket. Yeah. And you're coming in with a character who is able to move items. A little bit mind reading that's not really controlled, so that could hinder or help you in certain circumstances. Interesting to find out. Second person with flight, very handy to get out of the situation. I'd recommend it because some of these situations don't go well. Bit of a mental blast sort of thing, so that'd be good to if the situation does escalate beyond what it should be. But yeah, so do you want to give us a bit of a history to your character then on how they come into this story?
Well, I didn't really think of that yet, but I would say I know how he would have discovered his powers. He was never a guy that stood out. He always was bullied. And once he had enough of the bully, and then he just shouted, "Get the hell away from me!" And that's shut off his first mind blast, and just pushed the guy. I don't know how far back, and he ended up in the hospital, which made him just run away. And he actually kind of lived on the street afterwards. Okay. And he trained his move objects by stealing food without actually walking past a cart or anything. So just using his mental powers and let the hot dog float into his hand. Or whatever.
Yeah. And we'll see how we bring your character into this roster. I would probably imagine a person openly using their powers like that would very quickly get on the radars, not of kinetics, well, maybe them actually, but you definitely would have been in contact with the Sanctuary. So maybe you've never been. I definitely think the mutants from there who are running this secret rebellion definitely would have got in contact with you. They would have found you. Any mutants like that they're looking for, so they probably would have had a conversation with you. Maybe you've even helped them do a few things. You know, telekinesis powers might be helpful. They may be helping you try and work on your mind reading. You know, because they do help mutants with their powers. Yeah.
I can't help but think though that when he kind of is introduced to our group, he'll realise that brain don't matter.
Brain don't matter. Brain doesn't matter.
It's them instincts. That's all you need. You know.
Yeah.
They might be wrong, but instincts.
And so with that, then that's it. So the next time you see us will be in 2 weeks' time. Well, I mean, you'll see us on IMT more often, you know, before then. But for Mutants Masterminds, you'll see us then in 2 weeks' time, where we kick off episode 7. Which is going to be a very interesting episode. And like I said, if you're watching this hoping to learn Mutants and Masterminds, don't. That is not what this is for. But if you do know Mutants and Masterminds and you want to get involved and you maybe want to run a game, this season is due to end mid this year, maybe a bit longer at the moment. There's a couple more episodes left, but it'll be interesting to see. And yeah, we'll see where the story goes, because I tell you right now, it's temperatures are going to go up now, because the first half you guys have had it easy, and I mean you've had it easy. And you're about to start realizing how deep you guys are now in on all of this. So that's going to be really good to see.
Just think what the body count's going to be.
Ooh, my business will go
up.
And hopefully we can start tying up some of those notes that we got from Thomas Booth. Maybe we'll get some answers to some of the weird and wonderful questions that we all have, I'm pretty much sure. Who knows? Maybe you in chat, maybe you've picked up on something on my episodes that no one has. Because
It tells us
there are things, there are bits that people have not noticed. I'll tell you that now.
It's 'cause
Who
we're not
knows,
really paying
maybe brain matter accidentally picks up something from their subconscious.
We're only reading surface thoughts, though.
Yeah, from their surface thought, okay.
I'm hungry.
There
Then
are,
go eat something.
Why are we meeting in a morgue?
yeah.
Bloody
knows?
ice cream van.
Why haven't they offered us coffee yet? I can smell that they've made coffee. In fact, I can see them drinking it.
And why, oh why, did Pangolin change colour? Who knows?
And is it
Who knows?
Pangolin? Or is it
It's-
Gem?
It's not a pangolin, it's a chameleon.
Will Pangolin
Yeah.
ever return?
Geb's thought is, I'm Gem. I'm Gem.
I'm not Pangolin.
I'm Gem.
I
I'm
am.
Gem.
But one thing's for certain, that guy in the Tesla definitely died.
Rip.
Then why would you
Case
drive a
closed.
Are
Tesla?
you keeping count of these?
Oh, I've got a death toll. Don't you worry. I know exactly how many people you guys have killed. And yes,
Well,
it
the
is
last-
having an influence on the world that you're in
For
right
that
now.
last episode, after the M4 episode, I'm fairly certain it was like we were up to about maybe that we know of. I think we knew of 3, but it was probably higher from the M4 incident, and also probably from the fire as well. And then obviously whatever Galvanic decided to do.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't. Oh, we didn't start the fire.
It was
We
always
didn't
burn.
start the fire.
We didn't start
Oh,
the fire.
shit.
I mean, yeah.
And on that musical note, that's where we will leave this workshop. Thank you very much for coming and watching specifically. Thank you for you guys, obviously, my minions of Mutants and Masterminds who have sacrificed their time to play my game, which I hope you enjoy every day. And hopefully I will, I'll make sure that the last half brings some of those storylines together, and you actually get a kick out of them and you do enjoy them. But that's what we're aiming for here. That's what any GM's aiming for, right? That's what, it's all about telling a hell of a fucking story.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will have some big cliffhangers coming up. Because I will say the whole story, it's on you guys, because I have had to change things because of what you've done in the episode, like the motorway. It really all is down to you guys on how you want to interact with the story. You could change the ending. The ending is not set in stone right now. So who knows where our team... Will they be the bad guys by the end? Probably. You never know. We're going to
In the
find
eyes
out.
of some.
By the end,
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure we
find
get
out.
it far before then. Long before.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
You say it's not set in stone, but is it set in a tombstone?
I think it
well,
will be.
I know where a police officer's head is right now.
I just want to check. I don't know if it was actually the case, but was the inscription on the tombstone "fuck you"?
It was, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did learn that when the wife of the said police officer came to Angie's funeral
That was
party,
right.
parlour asking
Yeah, that's
for
right.
the
She actually
details.
said, "Yeah."
I mean, at least
You-
you've not actually put the business card on the tombstones.
Don't give her
Honestly,
ideas.
If you've not
Yeah,
watched that
give it
bit,
time.
go watch that on YouTube, because on that bit, not only do you find out that the tombstone said "fuck you," but watching Ange react to me, you can tell it's all on her forehead, shouting it at me at that point. So it's really good. You want to go watch that, because that was an amazing moment. Along with Ange having a phone call with an operator to get the power started at the place. That was another key moment for me that I really enjoyed.
Good RP.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in 2 weeks with Mutants Masterminds with a new episode. So we will see you then. Otherwise, we'll be back next Friday on IMT Live.